So you work very closely with the former Chinese leader during an era when China opened itself up to the world economy. Looking at this summit between Xi and Trump, are we witnessing a temporary tactical truce between two rivals? What was your takeaway?
First of all, I think the presidential visit, the state visit by President Trump to China is a complete success. If you ask me to rank it, I probably will rank it 9.99 out of 10. Very successful, highly choreographed, but also a lot of spontaneity and also a lot of excitement. China did put its best foot forward, and the Americans, government officials, as well as business leaders, all did the right thing. So this is truly a historical moment. Secondly, President Trump really brought back to the right track one very important tradition. You may recall, ever since President Reagan, every sitting president of the United States would make a state visit to China until President Biden broke off with that tradition, and he never paid a presidential visit to China. So President Trump restored that very important tradition. And in that sense, I personally am very grateful to President Trump for this important step in the right direction. Thirdly, China has demonstrated that China can be the largest purchaser of American goods of all kinds, including agricultural products, high-tech products, as well as oil and gas, you name it. But China wants to do this on reciprocity. That is free trade for Chinese goods to the United States and American goods to China. And I think President demonstrated his commitment to buy more American goods, and hopefully, eventually, China-US trading goods will be more balanced rather than completely out of whack. So this sets a very good goal for China-US going forward. Then all the important things they talked about will really be worked out in greater detail in the coming weeks and months. Fortunately, there are 3 more opportunities for President Trump to meet during the remainder of this year. And President talked about his view about China-US relations. I understand President Trump also reciprocated whether the two countries can come up with a mutually agreed framework for China-US relations in the coming 3 years, as well as beyond, is something I'm personally very much excited about. So I think this is a historical moment. And the fact I want to emphasize that visited the Temple of Heaven together. This is profound because the Temple of Heaven has great significance in the Chinese mind. It's where the emperors pray for good harvest and for peace and stability. So for the Chinese president and President Trump to visit the Temple of Heaven together, hopefully they will pray for something, hopefully it will be peace in the world, is very significant. And I hope it will carry the significance for many years to come.
Because you referenced Joe Biden earlier, I wanted to just mention Donald Trump's post on Truth Social. He was talking about a comment saying that when President Xi very elegantly referred to the United States as perhaps being a declining nation, Trump said he was referring to the damage suffered during the 4 years of sleepy Joe Biden and the Biden administration. What do you make of that Truth Social post? What's your reading of that? And does the Chinese leader believe that the U.S. power is waning?
First of all, President Biden, in my best view, was a Cold War president, and the President Biden administration was a Cold War presidency. In that sense, I think China has a particular view as to what President Biden was, what his presidency was, and whether they were really creating Cold War mentalities in different corners of the world. I personally have very negative view about President Biden because he was not making America great again, that's for sure. And he probably caused a lot of upheavals and instability in the United States. Now, I would not comment on anything that President Trump said, especially when he quoted someone else. And in this particular case, the remarks by my president, I'll be very cautious about that. And on the other side, I think it will be much better to listen to the authentic comments from the Chinese side if it relates to the remarks made by the Chinese president. But suffice it to say, President Trump wants to make America great again. China and the Chinese president said, we have no problem with that. We can actually help. And I want to say, if the United States really want to bring more manufacturing jobs back to the United States and make America manufacturing industry stronger, there is only one country in this world which can really help the United States. That is my country, China. So if China and the United States can be on the same page, we can talk about miracles and deliver miracles. And I want to see China being the largest purchaser of everything made in the United States. And I'm pretty sure my countrymen, the Chinese people, we want to be friends with the United States. And we want to see America be made great again, but not at the expense of China or any other countries in this world.
Maybe they prayed for a miracle in the Temple of Heaven. Professor Victor Gao in Beijing, we appreciate your time. Thanks so much.